All right, let's get right into it. Today, we're taking what might look like a bunch of dry OSHA compliance rules and turning them into your ultimate playbook. We're talking about building and facility safety standards. And look, I know rules can sometimes feel tedious, but trust me, this is the practical, everyday stuff that quite literally saves lives on the floor. So let's gear up.
Let's kick things off with a pretty staggering number: 15%. Slips, trips, and falls don't just make up the vast majority of general industry accidents, they actually cause 15% of all accidental industry deaths. Think about that for a second. That makes these surface hazards second only to motor vehicles as a leading cause of workplace fatalities. So, we aren't just talking about a bruised knee or a spilled cup of coffee here. We're talking about a massive, life-threatening vulnerability that you need to be aware of.
Here's our game plan for today. First, the danger and the law. Second, the big three. Third, taking control. Fourth, the way out. And finally, beyond the floor.
Starting with Part 1, the danger and the law, understanding employer duties.
Okay, so check out the actual text under OSHA Section 15, subsection 1. It states, "It shall be the duty of every employer to ensure, so far as is practicable, the safety, health, and welfare at work of all his employees." The big takeaway here? Protecting workers from these seemingly mundane surface hazards isn't just a friendly suggestion or some nice-to-have company perk. It's a strict, undeniable legal duty. You have to do it.
Moving on to Part 2, the big three. Slips, trips, and falls.
First up, the slip. Now, technically, a slip is a loss of balance caused by too little friction between our feet and the walking surface. So basically, a slip is entirely a friction problem. It's a total mismatch with your environment. This usually happens because of things like constantly wet surfaces, sudden spills, wearing the completely wrong kind of shoes for the job, or honestly, just rushing and not paying attention to what you're walking on.
Next, we've got the trip. This happens whenever your foot hits an object and you're moving with enough momentum to just get thrown right off balance. So, unlike a slip, a trip is a momentum problem. You're moving forward, your foot suddenly stops, but the rest of your body, it keeps right on going. You'll see this a lot when work areas are cluttered with debris, or the lighting is so poor it's masking obstacles. Or maybe you're just carrying a huge load that you literally can't see over.
And that brings us to the ultimate consequence, which is a fall. A fall happens whenever you move too far off your center of balance. A lot of the time, a slip or a trip is actually the catalyst. It pushes you off that center just far enough to bring you crashing down. But falls can also happen completely independently, right? Think working at heights, climbing accidents, improper scaffolding, or the classic culprit, the misuse of ladders.
All right, Part 3, taking control. How to actually manage these floor hazards.
What's really fascinating here is that you don't necessarily need complex engineering to fix most of these issues. Simple administrative controls and basic good housekeeping can completely eliminate the most common physical hazards. It literally comes down to everyday choices. It's the difference between leaving extension cords snaking all over the floor versus just taking a minute to coil them up. It's choosing to provide flashlights for dim areas or enforcing immediate cleanup procedures instead of just letting a spill sit there. It's actively reviewing accident records to spot those repeat danger zones rather than just ignoring a patch of loose flooring. It just takes discipline.
So, when you're actually out there on the floor doing a safety inspection, you can't just passively wander around. You've got to look at your surfaces and ask really direct, critical questions. Ask yourself, are holes in the floor, the sidewalk, or other walking surfaces repaired properly? Are they covered? Are they otherwise made safe? You have to actively hunt for these structural dangers well before they have the chance to become a statistic.
And to ask those critical questions, you need the hard data. You absolutely must memorize these specific structural numbers because they are literally the backbone of a compliant facility. For example, any surface elevated more than 30 inches absolutely requires standard guardrails. Handrails on stairs, they have to fall strictly between 30 and 34 inches above the stair treads. Every single stairway needs to be at least 22 inches wide. And beyond just the math, you've got to ensure there's safe walking clearance in aisles that are shared with motorized equipment. Plus, double-check that stored materials don't have sharp things poking out into the walkways.
Let's shift gears to Part 4, the way out. Ensuring safe and clear exits. Now, OSHA's requirements for exit signs are incredibly strict for a reason. An exit has to be marked by a reliable, illuminated light source. But it's not just about slapping a light bulb up there. The actual word
exit has to feature lettering that is at least 6 inches high, and the main strokes of those letters must be exactly 3/4 of an inch wide. You might wonder why so crazy specific. Well, it's to absolutely guarantee visibility through thick smoke, from a long distance away and in total darkness.
But look, finding the door is only half the battle. Getting through it is the other half. The ultimate goal here is flawless functionality. Exit doors must open from the direction of exit travel, meaning they have to swing out, never in. You can't require a key or any special secret knowledge to unlock them during an emergency. If there's panic hardware installed on the door, it must yield and open with 15 pounds of force or less. If it's a frameless glass door, it requires fully tempered safety glass so it doesn't shatter dangerously on human impact. And hey, if that door happens to open straight into an alley or a street, there have to be adequate barriers so your employees don't just run blindly into oncoming traffic.
Finally, Part 5, Beyond the Floor, Miscellaneous Facility Safety.
Inside the plant environment, getting ahead of our main hazards, the slips, trips, and falls, means you have to actively modify the environment with specific physical safeguards. Step 1. Install non-slip surfaces, especially around machinery where grease or oil spills are pretty much inevitable. Step 2. Get non-slip materials down on high-traffic, high-risk areas like stairs, ramps, and even canteens. And Step 3. Provide duckboards or other raised, non-slip footing in areas that are constantly wet. Basically, you have to engineer the risk right out of the environment.
I want to leave you with a quick thought as we wrap this up. I want you to look around the room you're sitting in right now. Like, really look around. What trip hazards are hiding around you right at this very moment? Is there a backpack blocking an aisle? Maybe a laptop cord stretched across the floor? A dark corner? Remember, safety isn't just some theory printed in a textbook. It starts with actively observing your immediate surroundings today. Take these standards, start looking at the world a little differently, and go make your spaces safe.